Hey, everybody, and welcome to another bonus episode of Horror Movie Night. This week, I am joined by someone who I've been a huge fan of. So, when I heard that they were willing to be on our little show, I got very excited. Josie Cotton. Yay, there's the clapping.
I can hear it. I can hear them all.
So you have a new record. It just came out in early May called Revenge of the B-Girls, which I love that it's you doing covers of some of these like drive-in grindhouse schlocky classics.
Yeah, it's called Invasion of the Bee Girls.
Oh, I thought
But
Invasion of the B-Girls was the first album in 2007.
when it's pretty much the same. It's the same. We're re-releasing it, but we added on the additional track, "Female Trouble." So,
Oh.
"Revenge of the Bee Girls" would be a great. Actually, volume 2, though.
Well,
I might steal that.
go for it. Go for it and run with it. And I love that you covered the female trouble theme, which I mean, obviously, huge John Waters fan over here. One of his I think one of his classics that is a little bit much for even the casual John Waters fan, and that's why I love that you did it. Like it's such a
I know. I this always kept in my mind. If I ever had a child, I would want to chew the umbilical cord like Divine did. That would be that'd be the peak moment, I think. But unfortunately, I never did, so I didn't get to do that.
So were you always a fan of like these kind of schlocky films and these horror films, or was this something that came with doing stuff like Valley Girls and Nomad?
Oh no, I was a huge science fiction little girl. I was a weird little girl, and I was just fascinated by science fiction and scary movies, and I would watch them all by myself. And I was a lot like Wednesday from the Addams Family. I was that strange little girl, dark gothic kind of thing. But yeah, I just that was my escape hatch from the world, and it evolved. Of course, I didn't hit the exploitation movies of you know. All these movies on this record until I was an adult, thank God. But yeah, I've just always had this love and just a sense of wonder whenever I would see any of these movies, and then a sense of just absurd humor later on when Russ Meyer came into my life, and it all continued to work for me. So my idea of doing the record of theme songs from all these movies I had loved was, that was really exciting to me. Just the idea of doing it was just seemed so perfect, and I couldn't believe no one had done it before. That was shocking to me.
Well, and I think that it makes sense for you specifically because when you look at like the 80s music landscape, camp was always a thing that existed, but when your first big hit is a song called Johnny Are You Queer, you're definitely
Yeah,
tapping into a very distinct campy style right out
it's
the
so
gate.
true. Yeah, it's pretty campy. There's other adjectives, but campy is, and it was always meant tongue in cheek and in that way. So I'm happy people got the way it was intended because that was just a funny song to me. I just always loved it.
So, and I didn't know until recently that that was a Go-Go song as well. How did that song come into your peripheral?
Yeah, that we had the same producers. The Payne brothers were producing the Go-Go's for a couple of years. They were involved in their work and their live shows, and they wrote that song for the Go-Go's when Jane made the observation that all the cute boys were gay, and so that was a line out of a Fear song that they were also working with that punk band Fear, and they just created this Frankenstein of hardcore punk and this kind of pop power pop, and they wrote it, and that was the song they would do at the end of the night, and it was their big made them they were known for that song, doing it at the end of the night, and people would go crazy. And then they parted ways, and they were looking for a singer to sing on the demo for their publishing company, and then there come I, and I kind of had to beg to sing that song just on the demo. It's just like, please, please let me sing. I want to sing. And one of them was my boyfriend. He was like, oh no, no, even though he knew I was a songwriter and a singer, and I just had to go to the brother and go, it's just a demo. What could happen? What could possibly happen from a demo? And then, and then the demo actually got signed, and then caused a huge controversy all over the world. So.
Well, and that was the funny thing was, as I do research before these interviews, I've always loved the song, and found myself thinking like, oh, I wonder if this song caused a big uproar, and
Oh yeah.
it did, but not in the way that well, I'm not shocked with who was offended by it, but it wasn't who I thought would be offended by it, is what I'll
Yeah,
say.
yeah, well, I guess I knew it was going to be explosive, but I really didn't realize it was going to go to the extremes that it did. Was luckily most people didn't even know that word crossed from highly forbidden into just the vernacular pretty easily with the whole generation of kids who just thought it was fun, and so the word snuck into our world. But the people who didn't care for that transition were, as you know, the extremely, evangelicals, particularly the ones who had the crazy TV shows back in the 80s. Those people.
So did the song, I don't really know the timeline with this. Was The Power of Johnny Are You Queer what got you into Valley Girl, or do you think Valley Girl is what made Johnny Are You Queer so popular?
No, actually, Johnny A. Queer was first on this small label called Bomb Records, kind of a very famous, you know, doing new wave and punk rock and whatnot. And it was a giant hit. They were responsible for it being a world known international, uh, situation going on for that song. It was all because of this little label. And by the time when I got to my Elektra Records as a major record company, they got very nervous about it, and they pretty much killed the song, pulled it from the radio. It was about to go on AM radio, and they were just terrified of it. And so by the time I hit Valley Girl, that song was on the wane. It was going out of people's consciousness. Because it had been banned, it wasn't allowed on the radio. It was the record company was trying to pretend it never happened. So I thought it was pretty brave of the director Martha Coolidge to put it in that movie.
Yeah, and then you also acted in a little. I feel like it's a very underappreciated movie, but I love it. Nomads with
It's a
Pierce Brosnan.
yeah, it was a strange one, and Leslie Ann Down, and from that whole era. So funny, and Adam Ant and Mary Warnock. Yeah, it was a funny experience. I didn't know quite how to act as a dead Eskimo that had been transported into a punk rocker, like who was destroying property. I mean, I wasn't allowed to go on. I was taking acting lessons at the time, and I just couldn't find my motive for doing this. But
I feel like that's not one that they cover in a lot of acting classes. Is channeling dead Eskimos.
no, yeah, you can't quite put your finger on that one. But it was fun, and Adam Ant was hilarious, and he made all kinds of wisecracks during the movie. But yeah, and then John McTiernan went on to do his huge movies that he did.
Yeah, he was Die
With
Hard,
Bruce
right?
Willis. Yeah,
Yeah,
Die Hard.
yeah.
That was his first movie, and so yeah, that was. I think he probably wanted to bury that movie so no one here can watch it. I'm kind of guessing that's the situation.
Yeah, but you know what? Us horror fans are loyal to stuff, whether it's a masterpiece or the worst thing we've ever seen. We always find something that we love about it. And
It's
Nomads is not a
true.
bad movie at all.
No, no, it's not. And yeah, I'm a big horror fan too. I mean, I failed to mention that, but it's funny. I'm supposed to be writing these synopses of movies. It's kind of a hobby I've developed of writing these re-reviews of these crazy movies and with a little humor, humoristic edge to it. And I was trying to find these movies, and one of them I remembered it was with such love, and I started watching it last night. Did you ever see Tetsuo?
Yes, the
Oh
I
my
can't. Yeah,
god,
that is such a weird movie.
it's so weird. It's so dark, and I realized I can't subject people to this. I can't. It's such a specific, demented mind to. I couldn't even finish it. I mean, honestly, it was. It's so. It's so full of angst and horror, and just this poor guy. I couldn't ever really figure out why he put that metal rod in his leg.
Well, and that's the thing. I feel like there's such a cool overlap of like horror and punk rock and heavy metal. Like it all blends into this perfect melting pot of what you said, angst. Like I feel like horror movies get such a bad rep, but they really are probably some of the most genuine, like unleashing of emotions in a film.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the only place where the truth can actually come out in these crazy movies. They I've been watching Black Mirror for so long, and but it was always. I mean, it's not quite horror, but it's horrific, and because it's so close to our society now, and all this. But I think you can say things in these movies that you can't otherwise. You're forbidden to say certain things, and definitely. Yeah, Tetsuo really holds, and Basket Case. I mean, like one of
Bas-
my all-time favorites.
Basket Case was the first trilogy we ever covered on our podcast, where we did an episode on
Really?
every movie in the franchise, because it's you have to see them to believe them. But that first one
No,
is
you have
such.
to. It's on, and I've been reading recently about. Someone gave me for my birthday a book about famous freaks throughout history, and it's a parasitic twin movie. If people don't know about that, but there were some parasitic twins in real life where an actual leg was coming out of one of the twins' mouths, like insane, and they had pictures of it. I'll have to send you. You would really appreciate this book. It's quite disturbing.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah, and that director, Frank Henenlotter, like the stuff that he's put out, beyond just Basket Case with Frankenhooker and Brain Damage. Brain Damage is such a deep movie.
So Brain Damage, that sounds so familiar. Who was in that one?
That's the one where it's like a parasite that attaches to the back of his head and injects. It's basically a giant allegory for
Oh,
heroin addiction. It
oh
injects a drug
man.
into him and then stops giving him the drug unless he kills for the parasite. Eh,
Oh, I got to see that.
Yeah.
I saw Frankenhooker. I love that.
But yeah, yeah, brain damage is like it
Brain
is,
Damage.
because it's as off the wall as his other stuff, but it's definitely like
Really?
it hits a lot deeper than a lot of the other stuff. Like it's not just,
Yeah.
yeah, it has like
I
a
mean,
message tied to it, versus the rest are just kind of like goofy for the sake of being silly. This one you can tell he was dealing with some real tough shit in his life and was trying to address it.
yeah. Yeah. Basket Case doesn't have a lot of message going on
Yeah, I love
there.
it, but it's not known for its depth for sure.
No. No, but its superficiality goes really deep. It really plummets downward.
So the last thing I absolutely need to talk to you about is we already touched on the fact that you cover the female trouble on this new version of the Invasion of the Bee Girls album, but
Yeah.
you also got the blessing from the king of trash, the king of camp, John Waters. What was it like even interacting with John about the cover?
Well, I mean, it was quite amazing. I mean, I recorded it when this album first came out in 2007, it was just a very limited release on CD, and I sent it to him because he had put Johnny Are You Queer on his A Date with John Waters, Disturbing Love Songs for the Ages, which was such an honor, and to be a part of that movement. I didn't know there was one, but I was happy to be in it. And I sent it to him because he had sent me the one that I was going to be on, and he, of course, he knew all those movies, and he says, well, the only thing is with Female Trouble, I'm in the middle of doing a compilation of all of Divine's songs. So I need you to not put it on this record, which was hard because we'd already finished it and mastered it, and it was like set to go. I thought he'd be so happy, but and of course, I mean, I'm just in awe of him, and I worship at his temple, and the John Waters one, and I said, of course, I will do that, and we took it off, and the record, and so it's been, but in the middle of it, he did say he would sue me one day, so, but very politely. He was like an old, Civil War general who's so politely gonna burn down your town, or like, I don't know, burn the South down. I don't know, but he was such a gentleman about it. He says, I know you're going to be upset, but I just have to ask you. People have tried. So many drag queens have tried to record it, and I had to sue them all. And he was kind enough to say if anyone I would want anyone to sing, it'd be you. And whether or not that is true, it was still very flattering. And I said I could never hate you. I could never be mad at you. And that song actually was extremely empowering for me to perform live, and it's not just for drag queens. and so he said you're so nice. He said I'm going to write your liner notes.
Oh.
So yeah. So that was just, and they were just they're just priceless. Have you read the liner notes that he?
I've read like highlights from it, but I haven't had a chance to really sit down and read it.
Oh my God! It's just Josie Cotton has made the unlistenable unforgettable.
It's such a good. That's the line that I know from it. It's such a good line.
And then about Girl in Go Boots, he called it the hideous sorrow of low rent go-go dancers. So good.
So the new version of Invasion of the B-Girls is available now. It's on streaming services. And where can people go to keep up with everything else that you're up to?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know if people even go to websites anymore, JosieCottonMusic.com, but I'm all over, Instagram, Josie Cotton Official, and I have a Facebook and all that type of thing. But it's on all of the venues, and the vinyl is coming out. We never did the vinyl on that record. If any record of mine ever deserved to be on vinyl, it was Invasion of the B-Girls. And it's all remastered. It's new artwork. It's all in a different order, which was strangely enhanced the record. I don't know why, but somehow there was much more of a story, some kind of a horror movie thing going on. It's I think it's going to be in July that the vinyl is done. People seem really interested, and there's going to be some little addition, but it's available now in all those digital worlds.
On the Spotify's and Apple Musics and all that good jazz.
All that stuff, sure.
All right, well, thank you so much, Josie, for joining us.
Well, this was so fun. I hope to do it again with you.
For sure. When the vinyl comes out, we'll do another.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.